Hello, and welcome to my Zeah Only Ironman Starter's Guide. Basically gives you the idea of how should I try to make this somewhat efficient and get the best startup for my Zeah Only Ironman. So first off, I want to say I'm taking my own personal experiences here. I've written out the note card. I've looked at other guides that are written by Scorched Earth, Iron Scorchy. I don't know how he'd want to be referred to as, but he's in the CC occasionally, and he's sent me a guide, which was really nice. The Zeah Product, who is currently Iron Product, he's the former number one Zeah Ironman, and the current number one Zeah Ironman, Zeah Slave, who's also aka Sherlockness. Um, I've basically taken all of this information from people who are really experienced, taken my own personal experience, and I created the guide that I would recommend following. So you don't have to follow this step by step. I would recommend it. It should get you to Wintertodt with a fairly good base skills. That way, you're not just getting like the lowest tier items from every chest. You should be getting some medium tier items, which will help you progress a bit faster while you're doing Wintertodt. So, first off, I'm going to talk about a few tips and stuff that you should keep in mind before I get into the step by step guide. So, for the first tip, you should take every single experience event you get, the Genie and the School event, and you're going to put these on Slayer. That's because of how difficult it is to train Slayer. In addition to it, when you get into the very end game of the Zeah Only Ironman, you should be taking your Dark Relics from raids, and you should be putting those into Slayer also. That's just because it's your only way to train Slayer. So, for when you're doing this guide, something to keep in mind is don't instantly put it into Slayer. Wait until you've done the Client of Kourend quest. So I hold off a little bit, so it's probably not going to be several until about a couple hours into your just skilling in general and all of this that you actually finish it. So there's a decent chance you might get one of these events. So just put it in the corner of your inventory. Just throw it down here. Ignore it for a little bit, and once you complete the quest and get that 1,000 experience from it to get you to level 9, then put the lamp on it. Another tip in regards to random events, the Maze event and the Prison Pete event are one of those things you should do if you get it. If you get those, they can give you certain items which are fairly difficult to obtain or just irritating to obtain, such as nature runes, law runes. It can give you a bunch of arrows and some higher tier ores, mid higher tier ores, which are really nice. So, the last step that you should keep in mind is following this guide. You're going to want to keep as low HP as possible for Wintertodt. However, you can actually have a decent basis of HP. So, you don't need to be like 10 HP on the dot to make Wintertodt efficient. You're actually going to need a little bit of HP just to make sure, especially if you're a hardcore Ironman, when you make the run to start training Hunter, you're going to want a bit of HP because those lizardmen can hit a little bit hard, but you don't have to deal with them too long. So, when I ended up doing my 99 fire making grind, I ended up having about 28 HP. So I was taking 2s all the way up until I hit 90 fire making, and then it actually lowered itself back to 1. So you can have like 20 HP, 24 HP, and it's not going to be a huge deal. You might start off by taking 2s when you're in Wintertodt, but in the long run, it makes it safer, especially if you're a hardcore Ironman. So, without further ado, I'm going to get into my guide, and it's going to get a bit detailed. Some of this stuff is going to take a while to knock out, but I hope you enjoy, and here it is. One more thing before I get into this guide. There are major updates and also Hosidus House rework, so the map might look different if you're viewing this guide later on. There also might be some more efficient stuff for this guide, so this is just going to give you a general idea for the current Zeah. However, it might change a bit. Some of the locations might change. However, the steps may not change. If there's anything drastic that changes, I'll put in the description and try and update it the best I can without having to hopefully redo the entire guide, but I'll come across that road whenever it happens. So, to begin your Zeah Only Ironman, you are first going to start off by going through Tutorial Island, and you'll have all of your stuff in your inventory. Every Zeah Only Ironman's just kept all the stuff, so yeah, just keep your basic stuff, and you're going to make your way all the way over to the dude in Zeah, Theos, and he is right over here. Just one bridge, come all the way around, and come over to Theos. You'll then talk to him, take the place all the way over here, and when you get here, you can actually talk to him, and you'll start the quest, the Client of Kourend. He'll give you orb and all that, and then we're not going to start off by doing the quest. We're actually going to start off by doing a bit of mining and smithing. Yeah, exciting. So you're going to come over here, and there's going to be some tin, iron, and you're going to basically mine it, bank it. You're going to need 128 copper, and you're going to need 128 tin. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit tedious, but it's going to help you later on, and that's how you're going to start off the Zeah Only Ironman. So, as you can see, there is some tin and there's some copper. So now that you've gotten 128 copper and 128 tin, so you can make that into bars later, you're going to start working on a bit of fishing and cooking. You're going to need at least 20 fishing for later on when you need to train it with fly fishing, and you need 25 cooking minimum in order to make a stew for later on during a quest. You'll just be fishing shrimps and anchovies here. Yes, it's going to take a little while, but you can cook them here. You can either drop them and just come back to fish them. But once you have 20 fishing at least, and you have 25 cooking at least, then we can go back and start working on the Client of Kourend quest. Just get the items back out for doing the quest, and we'll visit the first general store, the Piscarilius one, and just come down here, and you can talk to the whoever his name is, the shopkeep, and he will go for a dialogue, etc., and it'll check it off on the scroll that you have. So now that you've talked to this person and you've gotten that checked off for the quest, we're going to head over to the second general store. So going to start moving over to the Arceus House, and you're just going to run across the bridge up here. Because you're a lower level, well, like level 3, so you will get attacked by some of the stuff over here. There's a giant bat. I believe it hits a 3 max, so just be careful, don't AFK. You might want to save a little bit of run so you can just run by it, because it will be aggressive to you for a little while. Just run by and come up to here. Later on, you'll be buying some runes from this same general shop. It'll be the only time you should buy runes up here, because the runes in here are extremely expensive, like 400, 600 GP a pack, and the ones over there are like 200, 300, but it requires favor to use it. So you're going to want to talk to this person, get the thing checked off for the Client of Kourend quest, and then we'll go back to a little bit of skilling. So now that you've checked it off, we are going to start working on a bit of thieving. You're first going to need to get 5 thieving in order to be able to steal from those cake stalls. So just come down here. There should be a bunch of men in here, and you can pickpocket them, of course, for 3 GP each. And if you start taking damage, you can just trade, and for 1 GP each, you get a wine. So heals 11. It's pretty solid food, and just grab one of those. There's also cider. It doesn't really heal that much, but gives a +1 farming boost. Yeah, that's just keep in your notes in case you need a +1 farming boost easily. So once you get that, we're going to be heading over to the cake stalls over in the center of Kourend, our center of Zeah, this place over here. And you're going to be spending a bit of time over here. You're going to want to thieve till about 25 thieving is my personal opinion on when you should stop. That should be plenty of cakes, and you're going to be fishing a bit, so you'll get plenty of food for 99 or not 99 thieving, 99 fire making. So just thieve over here. You can stand back here, and rarely a guard will walk back here, so you should be fine. And once you have 25 thieving, and you've basically stocked up on a bunch of cakes, I do recommend starting to come over here and thieve silk until 30 thieving. This will get you about 300 silk, and you won't sell it right away, but you'll be selling it a little bit later on. And that'll get you about 18k, and that should be plenty of money. If you want to get a bit more, then you can do a bit more here. But I recommend 30 thieving, and that should get you about 300 silk. One other thing while you're in the castle center here that I recommend you do is talking to Hosa. He's the person that you start the quest with. He's not here for me right now. He's this bold dude that you'll recognize him when you see him. He's around this statue area. You'll talk to him and you'll start the alliance quest, this one right here. If this pops up yellow after you start talking to him, then you're good to go. You have to start it here with him before you can lock your favor with others. So if you forget to do this, you gotta come back to the center here and talk to him to start it. So that's why I recommend you do this right now. So now that you've gotten 300 silk, if you're not aware, there's a bank on the top floor up here. So you just go up these flights of stairs over here, and the bank's there if you did not know that. So once you get that, make sure you go back up there and you grab your stuff for the Client of Kourend quest. You're going to need the scroll and all that, so we're going to be stopping by the next general store, which is in the Woodcutting area. So just going to be running up the path over here, and the general store is right here. Once we stop by and visit there, you'll just go through the typical dialogue that you have to do for the quest, and you'll then, once you're done with that, we'll start working a bit on the smelting. So you have those 128 tin copper, and you're then going to take all of that and you're going to make it into all those bars that I talked about earlier. So this is basically your best furnace that you're going to have on Zeah. It's the bank right here, and then you'll just withdraw your ores, and you just come over to here, and the furnace is straight ahead. Just be aware, there's some giant bats in the area. They may attack you. Just be careful about that, and then you'll make your bars and bank them for the next step, or a step a little bit later on. So once you've smelted all of those bars, you're then going to withdraw some GP, and you're going to come back to that general store that's over here. You're going to want to withdraw, or you're going to want to buy a hammer. That way you can turn all of those bronze bars into just miscellaneous stuff all the way until you get to, we get 5 smithing. That way you can make the arrowheads, which you'll use later on to get some fletching experience. The best, basically, bank / anvil that's here on Zeah currently is in the castle. It's kind of a pain. You actually have to go up flights of stairs, withdraw stuff, come back down, and use the anvil over here. You can do about 500 bars an hour if you're just doing arrowheads or bolts. So yeah, just go upstairs, withdraw the stuff, and come down here and make the arrowheads. By the time you finish that, hopefully at least 15 minutes are the time required to make this dude passive again should happen. So you can actually start getting all of your silk from up at the bank and start bringing it down here and selling it to him. It'll take you a little bit of time, but the money that you get from storing out and selling it to him will be a huge deal, and that'll actually help you a ton in order to get a bunch of the storing items that you need. Alright, so now that you've sold all of this, you'll come back upstairs all the way to that bank that I mentioned previously, and you're going to want to withdraw that stuff from the Client of Kourend quest. Yep, we're still working on that, so just get that feather and scroll back out again, and we're going to start heading over to the Shazian general store. So it's not too far of a walk, you just have to come out here, just take this pathway. Watch out for bears, they should attack you. You should be able to run by them easily, so don't worry too much, just maybe a little food on you if they do happen to eye you. And yep, there is this. You can't buy the weapon or armor yet, you need 20% favor, but you also have the general store person here you can talk to. There's nothing really amazing here, and yep, so just talk to him, get that done with the quest, and we will then head over to the last person you have to talk to. So there should be the bears here, actually. I think I may have... Yeah, the bears here, so watch out for them. You'll have to deal with them a bit later, but a little food, you should be fine. Come across the bridge here, and we will be at the Hosidus House, the final general store you have to be. Just run by the mess hall, the great cooking range with a bank, and here you are. This is the last place you have to talk to for general stores. At this point, I would recommend that you just talk to him, get that done, and then I recommend you go over and head back down to the south bank here. Alright, so this next part is kind of a personal preference, and it can be kind of a pain, so if you don't really want to do it right now, you can do it later, but I would recommend doing it right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your weapon, bronze sword, the shield. If you want to cook meat for a little bit extra experience and such, you can do it, but what you're going to do is you're going to basically take this pathway up here and go all the way down to this chicken farm area. So you can basically kill some cows, chickens in here, get feathers, which you'll use later on for fishing. It helps save a little bit of GP if you just kill them there. You need 1 raw chicken and 1 raw beef, so you can actually grab them while you're over here. So I would recommend training to 5 attack and 15 strength. You're going to need the 15 strength later on for the Barbarian Fishing, and the 5 attack just helps speed things up along a little bit. So I recommend you do that, and once you have those stats, then you're going to head back up all the way to the north here, and basically go talk to Theos. If you don't have the stuff for Client Kourend, you can just run up here and just check this bank. That way you can just grab it, and before you talk to him, you have the scroll and feather already ready to go. So I'll be back once I'm up there, and I'll tell you on the next step I recommend. Alright, so now that you've made it over here to Veos, and you have that scroll and feather, you can talk to him, he'll go for some more dialogue, and then take him from you, hand you an orb. Cool. So he tells you have to go to a dark altar because of that, and now you get to run all the way up and over through here for the library, and up to the dark altar here, and you'll use that orb. Keep in mind that there are bats and skeletons that may attack you, so you might want to grab some food before you get up here. So once you use the orb here, it'll break on you. Big surprise. Go for some more dialogue, and then you'll have to run all the way back down to Veos again. So once you talk to him, after the orb shatters on you, you go through yet again, more dialogue, and he'll eventually give you 2 lamps. Use both of these lamps on Slayer. I repeat, use them on Slayer. That is the best thing you can do as a Zeah Only Ironman. So that'll get you instantly from level 1 to level 9, and you're just two random events away from being able to wear the face mask. So congratulations, you've done the hardest part of Slayer in basically probably a couple hours time, and you got that out of the way. So the next thing that you're going to want to do after completing the Client of Kourend quest, you're going to start making your way up, and you're going to want to grab some cash, and you're going to want to visit this general store, grab a couple bowls, and then you're just going to want to come up to this food shop over here, just north of it. You might have to hop around. I recommend preparing 3 stews. War source right there, and just buy meat and potato. That way you can prepare 3 stews in case you burn one. And you're going to then start the Queen of Thieves quest. This actually gives a really useful shop. I'll link in the description Slayer Music's guides for the Queen of Thieves and Client of Kourend quest, just in case you want to start go for that. You start the Queen of Thieves quest up here. I've already done it, so person's not here anymore. But yeah, if you don't enjoy my brief description on this, and I'm not going to really delve into the Queen of Thieves, I'm just saying you should do it. If you want a soup guide, you're going to have to search for that yourself. I'm going to put Slayer Musics because I personally enjoy those. So you're going to want to do the Queen of Thieves, and while you're doing the Queen of Thieves, remember to keep some cash on you, because when you get down here, there's going to be a certain point in which they tell you to go down here. There's a general store down here, and kind of saves you a bit of headache, and it helps basically whenever you want to start training fletching, because I personally didn't know this, and hate myself for not knowing this, but just buy a knife right here. It's pretty cheap, just grab one. That way you can do fletching when you need it later on. And I would recommend that you buy some feathers. Personally, I recommend you buy between 1 and 2k. It depends on how much fishing you want to do. 1k should be enough, I believe. 2k is probably really on the safe side to get you to the goal. You'll need 48 later on. So just buy feathers there. It'll take a chunk of your cash, but you should have plenty still. One more thing before I leave here. Please, for the love of God, also buy a fishing rod, and make sure it is the fly fishing rod, because you will be using that later on, and you don't want to run back here. So make sure to buy a fly fishing rod also while you're down here. Okay, and the very last thing before I forget is I forgot to mention when the Client of Kourend quest asks for what favor you want to basically receive boost in, you're going to do the Piscarilius House. Combined with the quest you'll do a little bit later on, you're going to end up being at a total of 40 favor by the time you're done with all that. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to do after leaving that pothole area is you're going to want to buy some runes. You're going to need to train up a bit of magic, because you're going to need level 40 in order to teleport to house. Personally, I want the teleport to house thing earlier so I can make the construction Wintertod a bit more important. This does require you get runes, so I'll talk about this later on in the guide. But also having some magic does help, because you can hit pretty hard with it at lower levels, and it'll be useful for killing some stuff safely in a little bit. So I just recommend getting a little bit to try and get yourself up to 9 magic. You should have some runes already, so just buy like a couple packs of mind runes, a couple packs of air runes, and a couple packs of earth runes. Yes, this will take a chunk of your cash again, but if you went with the 18k like I originally mentioned, that should get you a fair bit of cash, so this shouldn't be too big of an issue in the long run. So now that you have those, you're going to want to run all the way over to here. It's going to take a while to get over here, but this puts you on the road to the Shazian area. I show this in one of my earlier episodes. I believe it's episode 1, actually, I do this. But just for simplicity, I'm going to explain it. If you need to check my episode 1, I would recommend that you do that to just see the path visually if you want to. But there's this right here. You're going to run all the way around, and you're going to be attacked by lizardmen. So bring some food with you. And you might get poisoned, but the poison only hits like 1s or 2s. So not a huge deal. You can get into raids safely if you bring in some food. Just you run all the way around down here. There's gonna be some bears over here. They'll probably attack you. If you want to right now, you can kill one and grab the bear meat. You'll need some later on, or you can grab it later. I grabbed it over here, and then you're just gonna come run around. Watch out for trolls over here. They will attack you also, and then you're gonna run up here. Talk to this person right here. Actually, I'll point him out in just 1 second. So before you end up running all the way over there, there's something you will want to grab. While you're going through all of this, stop by Sherlock's house. It is right here. There is a spade in there. Make sure you grab the spade inside his house. If you forget to grab it, you can get one in raids. There's in one of the prep rooms you can get it, but I would recommend grabbing it. You'll need it for Piscarilius Favor later on. Alright, so I cheated a little bit and I took the minecart over here, but this is the person you're going to talk to. You just talk to him, go for dialogue, and you just select the right one and you'll unlock this travel. Just right click them and it'll show travel and you know it's unlocked. And it takes you over here. You can then use the same thing to travel back, and it's a safe method, so you don't have to get beat up by lizardmen when you have to go back and forth here now. And you'll spend some time up here, because there are barbarian fishing spots over there. So before you enter a raid and start scouting, I recommend you stop by the bank over here, and you grab a axe, your bronze axe, and tinderbox, because you're going to need that. It'll save you some time, and you don't have to kill scavengers for them if you forget them. But you need to be in a CC in which you have kick power, and then I just use my personal, and then just make party, and then you'll enter, and you're gonna have to find scavengers first, and then you'll eventually have to find a hunting room, and I'll show you examples of both of those. Scavengers do not matter which type they are, but yep, that's how you'll be able to start training Hunter. So I was scouting a raid to show you all what the rooms look like, and I actually found the perfect raid right here. So it doesn't have to be a setup. The first thing you want is a room that has scavengers in it. There are these things. It doesn't matter if it's the big ones or little ones. They do hit pretty hard and accurately, especially if you're low defense. So you're gonna basically want to get a safe spawnable thing. I believe every one of the raids has like something here that you can safe spawn. So you'll kill these all the way until you get a butterfly net. If you forgot an axe or a tinderbox, you can also get it from them too. But once you have the butterfly net, you're going to want to basically scout a room that looks like this. There's two prep rooms. One of them's a fishing one, and you'll see bubbles in the water. The other one's the hunting one, which is the one you want. And you'll basically see these bats in here. Just equip the butterfly net, and you'll just catch the bats. The low-level ones that you'll be catching have 5 experience each, so you'll need to catch those all the way till 9 hunter. Once you hit that, you'll unlock the ability to catch copper longtails, and you catch those all the way down here in the woodlands. So the reason why I recommend bringing the woodcutting axe and the fire-making tinderbox is because these trees right here, the saplings, it doesn't matter if you're using bronze, rune, dragon axe, they cut at the same rate. And they have a pretty hefty amount of experience. I believe it's like 45 experience per log, or kindling. And you basically can just cut these and then just fire make the logs. And it goes by extremely fast. So you're going to be in here for a while in one of these rooms training up, but I highly recommend going all the way till 50 fire making, just using this method because of how fast it is for the tier gear that's required. So once you have that, you'll basically be ready for Wintertod, I guess in theory, but I still have a few other things that I recommend doing before you head to Wintertod. But you can also go to like other trees if you really want to, but I'm pretty sure this is the fastest you can do here on Zeah without like having to go to the Woodcutting Guild and buy an axe. So now that you've gone 9 Hunter, I kind of recommend this next part for just getting ready for another quest that you'll need to almost complete. You're going to want to pull out your knife for fletching, keep your woodcutting axe, and you're then going to start heading over to Land's End. You don't need anything else, just woodcutting axe and knife, and just take this dude, and basically we're going to hunt till 27 Hunter. You're going to be using bird traps. Yeah, that kind of sucks. But you're going to be running all the way along here. It's kind of an annoying path, but it's what it is. And I'll show you the house you can get the bird traps in, and also the box traps in just a second. Okay, so we're almost to Land's End over here. If you already got the bear meat, chicken meat, and cow meat, you can kill a giant rat here and collect the last piece that you need for Short Ritual. It's just north of here, and there's a bank also, so... once you get in here, there's 2 different houses. Some of them have box traps, and some of them also have bird traps. So the box traps right here, you take one, you can't take another one if it's in your inventory, so you just drop, and then just grab another, drop it, and then pick them all up. And then in the other house over here, there is the bird traps, so you just grab them, and you can throw some in the bank right there. And yeah, so once you have some bird traps, I recommend, as I said before, you have an axe and a knife, because you'll be here for a little while. So you grab some bird traps, and you get to start hunting from 9 to 27. There are a ton of trees around here, so I recommend just cutting some, fletching them into arrow shafts. The feathers you get from the copper longtails actually cannot be used for fishing. You can only use them to fletch on arrows, so I highly recommend that if you cut some trees, turn them into arrow shafts, fletch them into headless arrows. That way you can get some extra fletching experience and move over to oak logs quicker. You should have a decent amount of fletching experience once you hit 27 Hunter, and they'll unlock the ability to catch ferrets, which will unlock the ability to do the quest Eagle's Peak, which is the way you unlock box traps now due to the bot prevention. Alright, so now that you've gotten 27 Hunter, you need a minimum of 15 for this next part, so that's why I recommend the 27. You're going to start doing the Piscarilius Favor. You should have 40 already, 40%. But you're going to come over here, Spank, just grab some cash and grab a spade, which I recommended you picked up earlier. Then talk to this dude. You can then take the Piscarilius House, travel all the way up here, and yeah, you're by Veos. So you can take it back. It goes to Land's End also. It's a pretty useful teleport or travel option. But you're going to have to use some of your cash to buy buckets from all the way up here. This dude will sell them to you, and you're going to be digging for sand grubs all the way up until you hit 100%. So, yep, you just gotta run all the way up here. It's like, and you get to do for basically an hour, hour and a half. Digging on these mounds that look like poop in the ground. So yep, just buy them. If you start running low on cash, you don't always get worms from digging here. They increase the rate, so it's pretty decent now. But you just dig, and if you need some cash, just empty a bucket, and you can pull out the worms from it, and then sell it back to them. And I mean, the buckets aren't too expensive, but you can sell the sandworms for some decent cash. You get like 4 to 6 per a buck if you have to empty it. But once you hit 100% favor, it'll tell you that you can lock it because you start the Alliance quest earlier. And the dude that you lock it in is in this house right here. Pillar, I believe, is his name. Yeah, you just come down here, talk to them, and you'll lock the favor so it never goes away. So now that you've ended up completing the Piscarilius favor, the next thing you want to do is grab a hammer from the bank up here, and you're going to start plowing fields. The reason why you need the hammer is because the plows break, and you have to repair them. So you just come down to this area here, and there should be a bunch of these things here. Yeah, as you can see, this is broken. You'll basically, you repair it, and then you just have to push it, and then it'll reach the end. You'll run all the way around it, and you'll start pushing it up and down the field, and occasionally you'll get some favor for it. When it breaks, you just click repair, and it'll give you some crafting experience, and then you can keep pushing it. You also get some random farming experience, so you need to do this all the way until 45%, and then you'll end up unlocking the mess hall. So, yep, as you can see, the mess hall, and because you got the 25 cooking from earlier, you can then make stews. So you just come all the way over here. There's guides out there on how to do mess hall efficiently. You basically just, well, each food's different, but the stews, you just basically prep them like regular stews. They have these cabinets in there, and you just pull the supplies out as you need them. Bowls, fill them with water. Then you grab the potatoes they have in another cabinet, fill them all up. You then grab the meat that they have, cook it, then put it in there, and then you just basically put it on, serve the food, and then start all over again. So it's not too complicated. I recommend world hopping throughout it because if you basically put some stuff on here, you see it's 33% is the appreciation. If you put some stews on there, then it lowers, and you get a little bit less cooking experience. You're going to get some decent experience while doing this, but yeah, so there's some guides out there on how to do it. It's some of the best experience that you can get for cooking on Zeah, and especially like being an Ultimate Ironman or Ironman, you'll get familiar with this. So this is what you'll do for 100% favor, and once you have that 100% favor, you'll actually run all the way back up to Hosa, that dude that you originally talked to, and he'll be up here around the statue like I mentioned before. Just talk to him, and he'll lock the favor, and you'll have 100% favor then for 2 houses. So now that you have the favor done, I recommend you come down to this spot over here. It is just up here's the castle. It's all the way down here. There's these fruit stalls here in which you can feed from them. Some worlds will already have this set up, but you basically get these dogs trapped in here, and also this lady here trapped in here, and she'll basically you won't get in trouble. Like if I try to feed from now, the dogs are gonna try to attack me. Should attack me. Yeah, see, they'll try and attack me. So to avoid that, you just lock them in the house, and once that's done, you can just run back and forth, keep stealing, and the things you want to keep are watermelons, papayas, and strange fruits, and the special, whatever these things, the clova top things. So you'll take the watermelons and papayas, and you'll just run them over here. If you have some cash, you can just buy buckets and just get that from her. And you can just fill this up here, make some super compost, and just get it ready for later on for your farm run. So just throw it on the leprechaun when it's ready. But I recommend getting to 45 to 50 thieving before you start doing master farmers. It should help a little bit with the rate, and it should help you get some super compost ready to go. And while that thing is filled, the compost bin, just take the extras that you get and just run it over to the bank here. That way you have them for later on, and you're not wasting them. So once you have 45, 50 thieving, as I recommend that you get, next up you're going to start moving up to master farmers. So the bank I typically use is this one right here. I just basically grab some food because you're going to be taking a lot of damage early on. Just bank here, grab some food, and you're just going to run all the way up to the master farmers in here. You can get him stuck in a few different corners, and you'll learn those pretty quickly. So he basically won't move for a solid, like, I'd say 4 or 5 minutes. He'll eventually reset if he doesn't get a chance to move. So be aware that you just can't go mindlessly AFK, especially since you'll be taking a decent amount of damage. But you'll just keep thieving from him. I recommend going to about 55 thieving at least to have a good amount of seeds. You're going to need to start doing farm runs now too. You'll get seeds pretty quickly to start doing your farm runs, but the reason why you're going to need this is so in order to unlock the Taifa minigame farm, as you can see it right here, I can I can currently do it. However, you need to have entered the Taifa minigame at least once in order to be able to use this. The issue is you need 34 farming to be able to do it. However, it is boostable, so you only have to get to 31 and you can use a farm pie to boost, or you could get to 33 and use a cider to boost. And so whatever your preference is on this, I'm going to mention basically how to make a garden pie later if you need to know. So, or you could Google it, I guess. But I recommend thieving here and doing regular farm runs. That way you can start working on farming. Do keep the tomatoes, cabbages, and the onions you get, because you will need them to make a farm pie if you plan to do the boost. So tomatoes, cabbages, onions, keep those because you'll need them to make the pie later on. Alright, so there's the next thing you're going to want to do is grab some cash and grab a spade from your bank. So what you're first going to do is you're going to, wherever you are, and come over to here, the estate agent. It's going to cost about 1,000 GP, and you just talk to them, go for dialogue, and be like, I want to invest in real estate and buy the house. So once you've done that, the reason why you need the spade is you're going to want to grab your first warm item for Wintertod. There is the Clue Hunter's Top, which you get from digging right here. I won't be able to get it right now because it's in my bank, but if you dig right here, you can even wiki it to have it be proven, but you'll be able to dig and get the warm top. It acts like a range body, like a leather body, so if you're doing some ranging and you need a top, you can use that as a makeshift one. Once you get that, you're going to want to head up to the Levican area, and oh boy. So I guess the best way is just to run across through here. You could run either way, it'll get you there. But you're gonna want to come up to this mining shop up here. They sell all of these pickaxes all the way up to Rune, I believe. And you're gonna want to buy a steel and a mithril. Mithril should be good enough for now. I mean, you're just gonna be mining a bunch of iron and then like 2 pieces of coal. So you're gonna need this so you can get to smithing level 30 in order to make a steel axe with a boost. So it's gonna be some more fun mining content and smelting content round 2. This will take probably a couple hours because you don't have a ring of forging, but yep, you're just gonna come all the way up through here and you're gonna come to this shop right here. It has pickaxes you need, and then I'll come back when I'm at the bank here to show you what's next. Alright, so once you have the pickaxe that you got from up here, the steel and mithril, you can then start by mining some lovely iron ore. You're going to need 293 bars in total. And remember, it's not a 100% smelt rate without a ring of forging. So you're going to need to mine a lot more than 293 bars, so this will take a little bit. Yeah, just mine it here, fill up your inventory, and then you're just going to take it over to this furnace here to smelt. And once you have 293 bars, then you have enough. You're also going to need 2 coal and 1 iron, basically to make 1 steel bar. So 293 iron bars, 1 steel bar. And then you're going to want to go up to this bar here and go and buy one of the Dwarven Stouts. That way you can get the smithing boost. So you can actually make the steel axe. Because this is only going to get you... All those iron bars are only going to get you to level 30. So just come over here, buy one. Yep, trade. So, yep, sells that. Oh, he also has Dragon Bitter, some kebabs. So, some of that cool stuff, empty beer glasses. And once you have that boost, you just go back down to the anvil down here, and you just go up and down stairs. At 20 smithing, you can make arrowheads. So between 15 and 20 smithing, it doesn't really matter what you make. Just try to knock it out as fast as possible. You can just sell the iron items that you make there. It's not a huge deal. It's just a little extra cash, I guess. But once you get to 20 smithing, then make the iron arrowheads all the way to level 30. And then once you get to level 30, you can pull that steel bar out, pull out your Dwarven Stout, and make your steel axe, which is the last thing you really need for Wintertod, aside from the last warm item you can get. So now that you've gotten your steel axe and you've knocked out 30 smithing with all of that stuff, the next thing you're going to head up and do is the lovely Arceus Favor. So you just gotta run up to the library and you get to play librarian for some ignorant people there. And you just, I would highly 100% just recommend just download RuneLite if you're not using it already. Because this plugin that they have, you just go into the configuration, that wrench icon on it, and you just type in library and you turn it on, and it just... Oh, let me show you how great this is. So you basically, once you get to the library here, you just gotta basically ask them, right click, say help, and he tells you, I want X book. Well, as you can see, they have all of these highlighted things here, so you just don't have to check everything. You just go up to it, and eventually you will find a book. This gives you every possible location. I believe it applies to Wux's method. And it highlights it and makes it idiot-proof, essentially. So you're going to have to play librarian here. It's really not as bad as you would think. This probably, with this plugin alone, knocks it from being a several-hour process from 0 to 100%, all the way down to, oh man, I would say with confidence you could probably do 0 to 100% in an hour, maybe a little extra. No more than 90 minutes though. It is actually surprisingly great on how this plugin is. So you're going to want to go all the way until you hit 100% Arceus Favor, and then you're going to want to go and lock it at the architect. God, for the love of God, I can never remember where she is. I believe it's this house. I would double check. I'm pretty certain it's this house. Just lock the favor, and you're good to go. That's 3 houses down before you've even hit Wintertod. And if you're wondering what to put the books on you get with the experience, oh, you see there? And it just kills the rest of those. It tells you Dark Manuscript's going to be there. That's one of the potential Dark Manuscript spots. So, you're just gonna spend the books that you turn this stuff into with, just put it on magic experience. If you put it on runecrafting, you only get 4 experience. It's 4 per 1 level for runecrafting, and then it's like 12 or something per 1 level in magic. You get a lot more magic experience, especially since you should have some levels already. Just dump it all into magic. It's like 20 something books. And once you have 100% favor on that, you're just going to come down and come scrape some more cash up, and you're going to head to the staff shop. You're going to buy a fire staff, and that's going to be your second and last warm item you need to get. So you essentially have all of your Wintertod prep done at this point. You'll have the fire staff, you'll have the hunter's garb, you'll have the steel axe, and you'll also have a um, you'll have 50 fire making if you decide to do that in raids. If not, you need to go and get that. But additionally, this unlocks this rune shop up here with the favor you get. So that actually means you can get fairly cheap runes. So when you go to buy runes, buy them from this shop up here. Alright, so now it's kind of a waiting game because you need to get to 31 plus farming in order to unlock the Taifa minigame farm, so you can easily do all of those farm runs. So what you're going to need to do is, well, first you're going to keep needing to do farm runs, but I recommend several different things to get out of the way. The first one I would recommend is doing crafting first. So as you can see, I'm in Sherlock's house. It's just south of castle, next to the bank, that sort of thing. And there's some shears here, and you just shear sheep. So it's like a long extended version of sheep shear, and you take the wool up here, and there's a spinning wheel right here. So you do this from 1 to 15 crafting, and I'll show you in a second, but you end up taking a trip down to Land's End, and there's a bunch of flax right here. So right here, you can see there is a 5 flax spawn, and you just pick it, and once you got full inventory, there's a deposit box over here. So you can collect a lot of flax really quickly, and then you just head back to the spinning wheel in Sherlock's house and just run it between the bank and all that. So you can do that from 15 onwards, and you can collect a decent amount of crafting experience, and you can use that to string bows for helping boost fletching later. So once you're kind of tired of that, I would recommend you at least get the level in order to make games necklaces. So whenever you do end up getting a sapphire and some gold ore at 22 crafting, you can make those. However, you still do need to get the 42 construction and all of that. So do recommend at least getting 22 so you can make those whenever you do get 42 construction. But another thing that you're going to want to look at is getting your fishing to 48. So what I recommended earlier was you are going to have to get at least 20 fishing and that 25 cooking. So you're going to be able to cook all the trouts you get. I did recommend that you get the 1 to 2k feathers, 2k to be on safe side. And you could, basically you fish them here, you run them back to the stove, or you can run them to the stove, whichever you prefer. This has a better cooking chance, and you just bank them here. So you just keep running this loop for fly fishing, and you'll stock up a ton of food. So if you're running low on cakes for some reason, you're going to have a ton of food from this. You're going to get a lot of cooking levels. You're going to get, well, if you go to 48 fishing or higher, you'll unlock the basic stuff for Barbarian Fishing, which once you get a game's necklace you can do, or if you want to run it, I guess you could. But that's what I recommend also working on in between your farm runs. If you get bored of that, I guess you can then work on fletching. That way you get more experience from your 50 to 99 fire making Winter Todd. This period is really just kind of a waiting game, as I said, for farming, because you need 31 farming or 31, 34 farming, depending if you want boost or not, in order to actually get into the Taifa minigame. So once you finally have the level and you've got the stuff to boost, if you're wondering where to get a pie dish in order to do the boost, this store, the one that we were thieving all of the fruit in front of, actually has pie dishes, and it has the stuff in there to make dough and all that. So just grab it from there. Like I said, you should have kept your cabbages, onions, and tomatoes from farming. That way you have all the stuff and you can just make the pie. You can cook in there, I guess, too. So once you have your pie, or you have level 34, you just grab the seeds from here. You just grab it. I believe it requires the level in order to pick it up, and then you just enter. Second you enter it, boom, it's unlocked. You're able to then teleport to the main game. So it puts you just right outside this house here. It's in this location. So at this point, if you haven't done it already, but you have the stuff, I recommend you go do Druid Ritual. That way you unlock Herblore. There's only a few other things that you can do, and I'll go over those in a second, before you can do Todd. At this point, you don't really have to do much else. You could start Winter Todd if you really want to, just knock it out and do that. But if you want to take a more efficient route, just continue on with what I'm going to be suggesting. So what I first suggest is you have some... If you have any more cash left, you go over to the shop that I recommend. Not the general shop, the rune shop up here. And buy some Earth Strikes because they're the most cost-effective that you can use. You could, in fact, even buy a air staff too if you wanted to just save a little bit extra in the long run. But I recommend you kill moss giants down here because you're going to need some law runes for what's coming up next. They're also a good source of nature runes and some steel bars and miscellaneous stuff, like weapons and that, like mithril swords. You can pick them up and sell them to the general shop nearby for some little extra cash. But as you can see right here, it's safe spottable. So you just get them lured, and there we are. You do need 40 magic to teleport to house, so that's why I recommend maging these things. So you shouldn't have too much of an issue with HP wise getting to 40, but if you start running into issues, you can splash if necessary. I just recommend you pour in some cash to do that, because getting higher construction earlier on before doing Winter Todd means that you can get more experience out of repairs. So once you have some law runes in that, you're going to need 60 woodcutting to get into the Woodcutting Guild. There's different ways to do this. If you have the fletching level for it already, you're gonna... Two different things you could do. If you only have 20, 25, and you're going to want to stick to oak, but if you have 35 plus, you can go to willows. The place I recommend cutting oaks is this location over here. It's just cut them, fletch them, sell them to general store. It's easy. If you have 35 plus fletching at this point, there's willows here. You can cut them, fletch them, bank them, and it's really close for farm runs, so you can continue to pile up farming experience, herbs, that sort of thing for later on. So it depends what you want to do. You still do have a steel axe, which is kind of irritating, but it's whatever you want to do, however you want to do that AFK. If you don't care about the money in that, even though I recommend you get the money because you will need it for this next part, you're going to want to go into raids and either use Ice Demon or that prep room, and you're going to want to do woodcutting to 60 in there. If you don't care about the money, that is. But the reason why you're going to want to care about the money is once you have 60, you're going to have to use the sawmill in here, and that will rack up some money. Your end goal is going to be 44 for molds, and it's 42 to unlock agility. So it gets expensive pretty quickly. I would recommend probably your overall cost is going to end up pushing about 150 to 200k by the end of the whole thing, just be on the safe side. I haven't worked out the hard numbers on it yet, so it does rack up pretty quickly. I mean, just 100k will only get you 24k experience, and you're gonna need 44, which is about 60 something k experience, so you actually might need upwards of 300k. I look at it. So that's why I recommend the fletching method. You'll get some cash from there. You might have to do some Winter Todd in order to just get cash from crates up there. You could do some thieving. Yeah, it's kind of messy, but the reason why you want the law runes and 40 magic is your initial trips are going to use regular planks. You're going to have to try and teleport to your house, you build the stuff, and then you use a method to get back to your house. Or back from your house to Zeah. I personally did kind of ruin my account, and you can see in the episodes, but I did do a trip every 20 minutes, and I would just teleport to the house, build the stuff, leave the house, but teleport directly back to Taifa. So depends how you want to do it. I guess I kind of cheat it my way, but that was just, I didn't realize it at the time, and I didn't have any way to teleport back, so I had to use the Taifa method. So once you have the 44 construction and can make the molds, you can actually do this at 42. You don't have to get molds right away. I just recommend you knock it out all at once. That way you can make games necklaces easily. I would recommend you make toy mice at this point. You do need 33 crafting in order to construct it. So that is one of the reasons I recommend you work on crafting while you're waiting for your farming to come out. To 31 or higher. So the next part, once you make the toy mice, is not going to be fun. I just straight up have to tell you this. You're going to need to find like a secluded area that has closed doors, and it's going to be a small room, so when you drop the toy mice, they don't wander everywhere. I personally, I guess you could use like over there, but it can drop in any direction. Personally, I used a room on the second floor of this building here. I don't know any particularly great place to do it, but it took me about 3 hours to get to 15 agility. But once it's done, you're in the clear. Like, life becomes a lot easier because you're then going to be able to head over to the Barbarian Fishing here. Now, the game's necklace would help, and it's kind of RNG to get a Cosmic Rune and Sapphire and all that, plus you need a gold bar. So I guess you could, in theory, just take a one-off trip of Zeah and walk over there. I did it when I had a game's necklace, though, so it just depends how early you want to do it. I mean, it's your own morals, that sort of thing. But you're going to need a lot of feathers. Again, you're going to need more cash. That's kind of the Zeah dilemma. But Barbarian Fishing Rods. It's been heavily agreed on that this is an exception that's very worthwhile. And you're going to want to do 15 to 60 agility here if you want to be efficient. So what you unlock at 60 agility is the Wintertodt shortcut. And that's going to be your best agility training that currently exists on Wintertodt. So, in Zeah. The experience rates aren't as good as they used to be pre-nerf. It used to be up to 30k experience an hour. Now it's estimated about 18k experience an hour if you just focus on agility. What I like to do, and a lot of other people do, is you go hard on the game. You'll just like be stationed up here on one of these corners, and you'll just go through the whole game. And once Wintertodd's subdued, you're gonna jump back and forth on one of those things all the way until it's like 4 seconds before, then run back, and then you're just gonna start the next game. So once he's subdued, just go back. If you want more agility experience, you can get to 500 points and then start jumping back and forth. But for your 50 to 99 grind, I highly recommend you just focus on doing fire making, and when he's subdued, you just go and train agility. So that's probably going to be your best method of training agility. It's just going to be focusing on it in between games. It does add up pretty quickly. This is why I recommend, because you have so much downtime in between the games on 50 to 99, that you get 60 agility prior to starting Wintertodt. No one else has done this before, as far as I'm aware, but for like really efficient, you should do this. Probably by the time you hit 99, you're going to be close to 70, and that's going to be a huge like thing out of the way. I don't really know how to explain it, but I'm doing post 99 right now for Wintertodt and agility, and it's kind of miserable because I don't want to be there. I got pretty much everything I want, as you can see right here. So I would highly recommend you take the efficient route so you can get the agility experience off the way, because you'll need it for rune crafting, at doing blood runes and soul runes, and you'll need it for red dragons when they come out, because they'll probably be the best per experience they have with the Hasidic rework. So I'm going to be ending the guide here, and I hope I covered everything I needed to. If anything's unclear, you have any questions, find like major mistakes that I made, I tried to double check, and I had to go back and add a few clips here and there to like make sure I covered specific details I almost forgot. So if you notice anything, leave in comments. I'll try to fix it if there's a problem. I'll try and answer it if there's any questions. Just please let me know, and I'll link some other helpful guides, such as quest guides and such, below. But where you should be standing by the time you finish this, if you don't do my uber efficient and all of that recommendations, you should be just standing at like 5 attack, 15 strength, 18 HP, 3 herblore with Druid Ritual done, 1 construction, 35 or higher mining, 30 smithing, 55 thieving depending on how hard you went, 2700, 25 mage give or take, 48 fishing, 50 cooking give or take. You should have about 31, 34 farming depending on if you boosted or not, 9 or higher slayer depending on if you decided to, or if you ended up getting any experience lamps or not, just RNG right there. And you should have at least 22 crafting, and you should also have like 25 or higher fletching. Those are just estimates on stats, not all of them are like hard, like you should have these, but and you also should have 50 fire making too, and like give or take 45, 50 woodcutting. That's another one. But you should have those in some sort of range. And if you decided to go for the efficient, like, other tips that I recommend, then you should have 40 magic, about 28 HP. I wouldn't recommend going any higher if you're approaching that and you're not getting close to 40 magic. I would start splashing in full armor and just a staff. You don't need vamp races. You will hit some, but it shouldn't be too big of an issue. 44 construction, 33 or higher crafting because of the toy mouse. You should have at least 60 woodcutting for Woodcutting Guild, 50 plus fletching if you did the money making recommendation, which I mentioned. You should have 60 agility, 60 strength, and you should have 82 or higher fishing as a result of it. This is a lot of stuff. You should also have 100% in 3 different houses, plus a few quests done. So, it's a lot of stuff. Don't expect to get this done all in one day. I would probably say this is a several day goal to get to if you're a heavy, like, hardcore player. If you're just a casual player, I would say it'd be a week, maybe a week and a half of going at all of these skills and such. It is basically the challenge that makes this as long as it is. The Zeah Only Ironman, you'll see it. There's a lot of walking. You have to try and plan stuff efficiently, especially prior to the minecarts and all that, and the teleports you get. So you'll start to figure out stuff as you go on too. I'll try to post some other tips and tricks and other stuff that I've learned too. So I hope you enjoyed this guide, and it may not be the most clear, as I mentioned before. I'll try to improve it if I have to do any improvements in some way, and I'll try and fix anything if there's anything majorly wrong, but this is the first guide I've done, and yeah, it's been a challenge. It's taken me quite a while to put together, but I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're interested in starting a Zeah Only Ironman, I hope this helps, like, sort of give you a goal and a pathway to try and, like, narrow how should I go about this for starting my Zeah Only Ironman.